Hi guys, and welcome back here to the Dev Realm. And in the series of today, we're going to be carrying on our RTS project that we're working on. And basically, in the last episode, what we did is that we just started to do this selection here. So if I hover the mouse over this, it pops up a little text in here. So what we're going to be doing today here is that we're going to be setting up the ground for something that's going to come up maybe in the next episode, which is going to be about selection. So we're going to basically select multiple actors on the screen. They're all going to be selected, and once we click on anywhere else, they will be deselected. We may going to be dropping this sphere here as we're going to be using the selection box, but that could be more in the future. But for now, let's just work and create the base for that project. So first thing we're going to do here is that we are going to open up our player, our little character here, right? And basically here we have the line traces, and basically we have in here where we are adding removing the sphere, and we have something where when the sphere here is getting added to collision or something like this. So the first thing I want to do here, just to make things more, I would say, clear and easy to follow, is that I want to add the actors they're interacting with, the reference for this cube, inside our component that will be attached to our controller. So then from the controller we can actually do a couple more things here. So that adds some complications on our logic, but it will make our game a little bit more stable on the long term here. Right, so the first thing that we are going to do here is that we need a reference to our RTS component in here. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to search for the reference of our player here. Just going to drag this window on the side. Now I'm going to go to interfaces. I'm going to create another one, and this time I'm going to call this interface here interfaces. I'm going to go to blueprint interface, and I'm going to call BPI RTS controller, right? And in this way, actually, let's just call RTS player controller. In this way, we know that we should be adding this only to the player controller. Right, I'm gonna bring my, I'm gonna open up this on the other window here, and I'm just gonna go back to the players. I'm gonna open up our player controller here, right? And there we go. And in here, what we're going to be actually doing, we're going to just go back to our interface that we just created. And I'm going to create a new function here. And I'm just going to call this function i-return. And I am going to call this RTS component, right? And this is going to return the reference of, if you guys remember, our RTS control here. So that's going to return that reference. So I'm going to go to the output, create a new output. This is going to be called RTS component. And then in here, we're just going to plug the RTS here in the object reference. And that's all we need to do for the interface. Now on the player controller, we need to implement the interface. Right, so the first thing we need to do here, we're going to go to class settings. And I'm gonna go to interfaces. I'm gonna search for BPI, and I'm gonna just put the RTS player controller, right? And now that interface is already implemented, all I want to do here is just drag and drop this guy here, plug it in there, and that's all you need to do for this. Now the cool thing about this is that our player now, remember that we have access to our controller right here, right? So we have player access to our controller, and we can do all sorts of stuff with this. What we can do now as well is just call that method I return the RTS component message, right? And that will basically give us the component back, and we can actually promote this to a variable. And this is going to be the RTS component. And I'm gonna drag and drop this. Actually, I'm gonna put this inside player control, and I'm gonna plug all this stuff right here. Right, cool. I'm gonna make sure is everything public, and also make sure it's replicated, because you may wanna access this during the server render time or something. Cool, now we have access to our RTS components, which is good. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna do a print, and let's just confirm if we have access to this. Press play, and we have the RTS player right there. You see the BP RTS control. Cool, so that is actually working. Now the next thing I want to do here is I want to go now to the RTS player control, right? Sorry, this is the player controller, that's the wrong thing. I want to go to the component here. I know it's getting a little bit confusing, but basically what we're trying to do here, let's just try to use paint again. So we have here the player, then we're gonna have the controller, and inside the controller we have this component, right? So this guy here is the player, and let's change this to 20, and this is the controller. Oh, controller, and here is our component, right? And so what happened here, what we're trying to do is from the player we get in the controller, from the controller we are getting the components, and here I'm not sure if this is gonna work really well. Now what happened is that from this is returning to the player here, so is doing like this, is returning to the player reference from the controller using the interface. We could actually, you know, cast the controller, do all this, but since we use interfaces, we don't have to cast anything, just pass the message, and that will work for us. And the reason why we're doing this is because now the RTS control work both on the client and on the server side because it's managed by the controller. What does that mean to us is that if in the future you come and say, okay, I want to create a multiplayer game, you're probably going to be halfway there. Now that we have the RTS controller component open, we can actually create here a couple of events. Right, so the first thing we're going to do here, so we got the start. I'm just going to comment this here, and I'm going to just comment RTS component start. And I'm just gonna put this to like, I don't know, 60. Let's put it like a green color, just so you look at it and you're like, okay, I know what this is trying to achieve here. Cool. Now the next thing I want to do here, I am gonna create a new graph, and this graph here, it is going to be called let's say settings, or let's call selection, right? Let's call selection. You will only handle selection. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to create a new variable, and this variable is going to be called selected actors, because on a classic RTS you can select a lot of, you know, different buildings, you can select players, you can select units and things like that, right? So we are going to call this and the type of this is going to be just actors, I believe. Yep. Make sure it's public, make sure it is replicated, right? And one really important thing here, make sure that is an array. Okay. Now with this done, we're kind of halfway done. We're going to create here two events. We're going to create one to add actors. Actually, we're going to create three events. One is going to be to add actors, another one is going to be to remove actors, and another one is going to be to clear all the actors. So let's create here a custom event, and we're going to call API dash add selected actor, right? And this is going to run on the server, right? And I want to replicate this on multicast, so I'm just going to run first on the server, and the input of this is going to be actor, right? Let's just call this actor here. Now I'm going to copy and paste, and I am going to call the same thing here, but this time it's going to run on a multi multicast. Multicast. Right. Make sure it's also reliable, and now we can actually plug those guys together here. Before we can actually move forward to the next one, let's just create another one here. I'm just going to copy those two, paste it in here, and now instead of calling add, right, I'm going to call API remove selected actor server, and here I'm going to do the same, but now it's going to be multicast. Right, now here's going to be run on the server, and this guy will run on a multicast. Right, the next thing that we're gonna do here, let me just plug all this stuff together. Yeah, now what we're gonna do here is that we're gonna create our last method, and it's gonna copy and paste here. And now I'm gonna just call API clear selection server. Oh, I mistyped selection. Right. Now this is gonna run on the server, and this one here is gonna run on a multicast. Multicast. Now the only thing that you need to do here is just call this guy. And for the clear, we don't need any inputs. We're just gonna basically tell, oh, please, can you just remove any, can you just clear this array? And what we're gonna do here, you see the selected actors that we have created earlier. I'm just gonna put inside a category called selection. I'm gonna drag and drop this guy here, and I'm gonna, from here, I'm just gonna call clear. Now we'll make sure that we are going to clear all the data of this selected actor. So I'm just gonna comment and say clear the selection. We probably want to trigger an event in here, but for now we're just gonna leave it as it is. Right, so let's do the first one to add actors. So we're gonna bring the selected actors, and we're gonna add unique, right? Make sure you plug unique. I don't want to add the same actor twice. And one thing which is really cool, when you're adding an actor, each actor has their own ID instance. So when you add unique, you will add just a unique actor. It doesn't matter how many you have, which is really cool. So we're gonna just call add selected actors. Cool, nice. Now to remove the actor, the same thing. So we're gonna bring this selected actor. The only thing I'm gonna do is just remove, and I'm gonna remove the item. Because once again, the actors, they have their own signature, so we don't need find index. You can just tell to remove straight away. And here's gonna remove the actor. Right. This is really good. Now the next thing that we are going to do here is basically create a bridge here, like from our player instance here. So now you guys remember that we have this here, right? That we add the actor from selection and remove the actor from the selection, right? One thing here that I'm gonna create first before anything else is that I want to add any actor that has a specific component attached to it. And for this we can check for implements or has components, get component by class. Yeah, we can actually do this. So let's just start to do this. So what we're gonna do here is on the RTS player, let's go back to components. I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna create here a new component, and this is gonna be actor component, and I'm gonna call BP selection actor, right? And what I'm gonna do here, just so we can actually finish this, is I'm gonna edit this cube, right? I'm gonna find that cube here, I'm gonna drag and drop this component there. And on my RTS player for now, if the actor we're trying to select implements this component here that we're trying to do, and we can actually even do a printing here. that basically tells us, as you can see there, it interacts. So what we can do here, make sure is valid. Let's just call the other node is valid. If this is valid, what we can actually do is, because we already have our RTS component, we can call the API add selected actor on the server. Just plug this here. Now he's gonna ask for actor, and we're just gonna plug the actor from here. Nice, that's all we need here. Now before we can actually move to the next one, I'm just gonna do the reverse. So I'm gonna get this here, the same thing here. I'm gonna click on the component and overlap, and I'm gonna copy all this logic, paste in here. Does the other actor implements this component, and if it does, we're gonna call the API remove the actor from the server, and that will basically just put this actor right here. And before we can actually finish this video, just to make sure this is working, right, I'm gonna go to my RTS control here. I'm gonna find on the event graph, I think we have the event tick. Yeah, I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna get it selected, I'm gonna get the length, and I'm just gonna print how many do we have. By default it should be 0. Now if I hover, it should say 1. If I remove it, it should say 0 now. Now what we're gonna do in the next video is to actually change the color of that cube, or something that will indicate that we have selected that actor, so the player knows, oh okay, maybe some glowing effect or something that we can do. But for now, I'm just gonna change the material, but we can actually identify that, okay, this actor has been selected. So yeah guys, once again, thank you very much for watching, and I see you in the next one.